When Wrecking Ball Legursky wants his wrestling news, he turns to the Squared Circle.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. October 28th, 2014. You are live. You are watching the award-winning Squared Circle. I'm Hollywood J. Williams, once again joined by Mr. John Zimmerman and the superstar Dan Hoff in for Mr. Thomas Dacey tonight, the Thunderous One. How you doing, Dan?
Great on this end.
Pretty good on this end.
Yep.
How's the middle doing?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
You're
Stuck in the middle with you.
Stuck
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
There you go. There you go. We are 48 hours removed from a pay-per-view known as Hell in a Cell, emanated from Dallas, Texas. Great arena. It looks like a big place. Glad nobody got hurt so they didn't have to get taken to the hospital.
Well, they do everything big in Texas.
Exactly. Everything's bigger, but I don't know if the pay-per-views are necessarily better in Texas.
No.
But I'm going to give this one an all right, I guess.
Mediocre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we started out. We had the. By the way, I did something innovative this time. While I was sitting there watching the pay-per-view,
Yep.
I posted every single result as it happened.
Yes. I ran into our friend Bill from North Haven yesterday, and he's like, you know what? He says, I was working, I was busy, and I couldn't watch the pay-per-view, but Hollywood Jay kept me updated, and I knew what was going on. So he really appreciated that, and I thought I'd pass that along.
Oh well, exactly. Well, Bill, if you call in tonight, I'll thank you again when you call. But thank you very much. And if not, thank you very much.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
So I'll just rehash what I was posting onto the Squared Circle page Sunday night to kick off the show tonight. The Intercontinental title, Dolph Ziggler retained over Cesaro. Are you surprised?
No.
No. You surprised,
No,
Dan?
not at all.
Not at all.
This whole pay-per-view was just like spinning the wheels, and really nothing came out of it.
Nothing really came out of it. Well, maybe a couple things started, but
It just seemed like we didn't make any progress. We didn't really get anywhere.
right.
It just, I don't know.
So hell seems to be a boring place to you.
Yeah.
Right. Dolph Ziggler was over Cesaro. Not really surprised, although I think maybe they should give Cesaro a push sooner or later with a belt. He's had belts before, but it's time again.
Maybe the Squared Circle PWA television title.
Well, it can't just be sold to Vince McMahon without a permission now.
Well,
And if it is, we need to have a little, you know?
of course.
Right.
Well, we do have a working arrangement. I was there yesterday, and things are great between us and the WWE.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely glad to hear. Nikki Bella wins over Brie Bella. This is a special stipulation match, and now Brie has to be Nikki's personal assistant for 30 days. Well, hey, you know what? Look at the bright side. It's only 28 days
Wasn't
now.
that on a Seinfeld episode? You have to be his butler for 30 days. Is that right? That was something Costanza came up with for writing a Seinfeld episode. That was just so. I don't know. You got to be my manservant for.
Be a manservant for 30 days. So that's basically what Brie has to endure. A large cup of like a latte or some of them Starbucks smoothie things over her head.
Yep.
You know, what's next? Interfering in a match? I don't know. It just seems kind of lame.
Have you ever made a smoothie? I don't know.
There's a smoothie shop on 95 North
Yeah.
in Milford.
Yeah.
And this girl that somebody I used to know worked there.
Uh-huh.
Right. Best smoothies in town.
Really?
Yeah. Right.
I'm sure that's an awesome job, too.
Right.
Yeah.
High paying, you know.
So
Yeah.
does this mean that's our Christmas bonus for smoothies on Jay?
Smoothies
Hollywood
around.
Jay?
Why not?
Orange whip? Orange whip? 3 orange whips.
3 orange whips.
Blues Brothers.
Let's do it. The tag titles, Goldust and Stardust retained over the Usos.
Boring.
No surprise. But the Goldust and Stardust team seems a little bit better to me than the Usos. You know, I'd really prefer the Usos if they had spears and they were
Yeah.
heels, and they're kind of more like the head shrinkers.
Yeah.
That I don't know. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I can't stand the current way they're being used with the dancing around and cheering. They seem more like cheerleaders than they do.
Right.
It just seems like they try really, really, really hard to get the crowd behind them. And it's just, it really hasn't caught on.
Right.
You know, when you say ooh, you say oh. That's just.
Right. And traditionally, when you think back to the Samoans, you think back to the wild Samoans, you think back to the head shrinkers, you think
Right.
even Samoa Joe. You don't see any of them coming out and you say ooh and I say,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Seems like they're supposed to be like gangsta Samoans, or I guess
I don't know. I don't know.
ghetto Samoans.
Yeah, and this goes back to the writers, and you know, a lot of the writers that they have now are not from the wrestling world and don't know the history and haven't really caught up with what the wrestling fans want to see, and they're just giving us generic characters. You know, when you know, as we've gone over and over and over, they've got former television soap opera writers doing the storylines, and it's it's not wrestling.
Yeah. Now supposing a wrestling writer goes to write for one of the soaps,
That would be interesting.
then gonna see a wrestling ring on General Hospital or Young and the Restless or something.
Yeah. The Young and the Wrestlers.
Young and the Wrestlers.
There you go. Copyright it.
And when they get injured, they could be taken to General Hospital.
There you go.
Right. You know, because when you have your educated wrestling fans who have followed the sport for numbers of years, they're used to seeing the more over characters, like I mentioned, the Samoans,
Oh, yeah.
the head shrinkers, and this new crop isn't going anywhere.
No, you're absolutely right.
Doesn't seem to be. Continuing on here, Hell in a Cell 1, the first Hell in a Cell match. John Cena defeats Randy Orton. I'm not really too surprised about that neither, but let's see if they're going to stick to their word and say this is the end of the rivalry.
Well, Randy Orton has been reduced to a part-time schedule.
Okay.
One, he's filming The Condemned 2,
Right.
I believe.
Right.
The former Steve Austin movie. They're making a sequel to that, so he'll be away filming that. And I know he's nursing some injuries, so he's going to be cut back substantially over the next year. So we may not see a whole lot of Randy Orton. So more than likely, we're not going to see any more with John Cena, Randy Orton.
Right. What do you think, Dan?
Oh, from your lips to God's ear.
Yeah, I understand just about every time I've gone to see Raw over the past 2 or 3 years, I mean WWE over the last 2 or 3 years, it's been John Cena versus Randy Orton, or John Cena and tag team partner versus Randy Orton and tag team partner.
Right.
And even the kids, children, I've even pointed this out, are just getting sick of the rivalry.
Well, I think it's done.
Right.
I think we're done with it. So hopefully, as you said.
Hopefully we're done with it.
Yeah.
And remember now, too, there was a WrestleMania that it was billed one time only. John Cena versus The Rock.
Yeah.
It'll never happen again. Do you know what the main event for the following WrestleMania was?
John Cena versus The Rock.
Yes. So one time only again.
Right? Never say never again.
I know it's a different match because it's a different WrestleMania, and the second one was for the belt.
Yeah.
So that makes it a different match, right?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Tired.
Sheamus took on the Miz for the U.S. title and retained the belt. Rusev over the Big Show, I'm not really surprised.
No.
AJ Lee over Paige, not really surprised. What I wonder a little about was the Hell in a Cell, the second match, Seth Rollins defeating Dean Ambrose. I figured Dean Ambrose would win that, and I wasn't expecting the interference from Mr. Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I really don't know why they needed that interference. I mean, these two guys, as I predicted, should have stole the show on their own merits, and why you needed the interference, why you needed Bray Wyatt to to come in and mess with the finish. I just don't get it. I don't know what their angle is and what, where this is going to bring us. But I mean, they should just allow the two of these guys to run from now until WrestleMania or further, just feuding together.
I know.
Like an old school feud. And, the two of them have the talent to do so. And it's not, and those two aren't going to get boring fighting one another over and over and over again and changing the stipulation. And like you said, maybe throwing in a tag match.
Mm-hmm.
But why? I don't know.
Good.
Where do you think they're going to go with this Bray Wyatt?
Well, it seems like they are going a little bit old school. I mean, you're obviously familiar with the term dusty finish.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it at the pay-per-view and again on Raw last night.
Yeah.
But they had a good main event going, and all of a sudden, every wrestler from the locker room came out and blew the match.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think they do that for time constraints.
Yeah.
To get themselves off the air.
Mm-hmm.
But
They may have, but if it's your main event, you schedule the proper time for the main event, and you take time away from one of your lesser matches if you have to.
Yeah.
I'd like to see these two, Rollins and Ambrose, go to something you haven't seen in a long time. Is that they have a time limit,
Yeah.
and they go right to the time limit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like you said, that's another Dusty thing, old school way. And then, there is no winner because they run out of time.
Right.
So, you can avoid having a clean cut finish by doing something like that.
Right.
And then it just makes it further, makes the feud continue on.
Right.
So that you don't have a winner and a loser and a winner and a loser back and forth. Then, on that particular case, nobody wins or loses. So
I don't think I've
We're
seen
just
a
going
time
down.
limit draw in I don't know how long. It has to be well over a decade
yeah.
since I've seen anything like that. But what do you think about them bringing something like that back, like a time limit, and just going with it?
Well, as long as we don't end up having any empty arena matches.
Right.
Right.
We've seen that before.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I don't know. It's
know.
crazy.
I don't know. I was kind of looking forward to seeing that feud continue, but it's a little exciting seeing Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt. They're kind of similar characters. They're kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Oh.
But then now you got Bray
think
Wyatt. Bray Wyatt's all going at it alone now. He no longer has Harper and Rowan by his side.
Yeah. Like I said, I really don't know where they're going with it, and they should have waited until Rollins and Ambrose was done, and then give him somebody else. But having Ambrose having to fight now on two fronts doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But who knows?
Who knows? Definitely. Now, we have any? We've been around, out and about, all over town here. PWA events,
Yep.
NEW events,
And Vinny V show.
Vinny V show last weekend.
Yep.
As far as independent work is concerned,
Yep.
we've been around. PWA had their card on Universal Drive
Yeah.
last Saturday afternoon
Yeah.
at the Executive Jeep.
Yeah,
Not
and,
last Saturday, Saturday before that.
Correct. Yeah. We're a little behind. Footage is tough to get edited sometimes, but we did edit that footage this evening prior to the show, and Nick has it ready.
Nick has it ready. We can go to it whenever. This is it would be Executive Jeep and Nissan. They had
Yes.
a pet adoption. I did not adopt any pets prior to rumor or speculation. Right. Even though there's some photographic evidence otherwise. I understand there's some grainy footage out there of
Yeah, you know what?
something that, and I want everybody to know when they see it, it's not exactly ready yet. I emphatically deny it.
Yeah,
It's
our
not-
crack staff is working on it. It's some found footage, and we've been trying to get this together. And it's grainy, but we'll put it together. And we won't be here next week because of the election coverage.
Right.
And the following week, we're going to put your feet on the fire.
Oh, speaking of election coverage, this is a friendly reminder from the Squared Circle to get out there and vote.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely.
We're not going to
well-
endorse anybody, but
No, we
get out
don't
there and
endorse
vote.
anybody. Absolutely not. but just get out there and vote. Your
Yes.
vote counts.
Yes.
That's how you change things. But we have the footage ready from the Executive Jeep Nissan PWA event, toy drive, whenever, Nick, you are ready. Pet adoption, food
Pet
drive,
adoption.
food drive,
Yeah.
excuse
And
me.
of course, this is the 203, Lucas Sharp versus Joseph von Schmidt.
Mr. 203 himself.
And you were the cameraman on this, Jay. Our regular cameraman was out of town at the moment.
Right. See, I can. It's not beneath me to pick up an HD camera and go out there in front of the ring and film.
Yes.
You know, being the executive producer here, if I'm needed behind the scenes, I mean, it's, you know,
Hey, we all-
don't make anybody do anything you wouldn't be willing to do
That's right.
yourself.
You know?
You know, this is a team. This is a team effort.
Yeah.
Here at the Squared Circle. We work together as a team.
Yeah.
We all
Hey,
pretty
I've-
much think alike. Not always, but
Yeah, you know, I've held the HD camera and shot some footage myself. And I'm sure Dan would be delighted to help us out with that as well.
definitely. But that was a great match.
And Damien Darko, Sol Diaro, and good looks, Donnie Brooks.
Right.
You know, I see a bright future for this good looks fella.
I'd like to
Alright.
get Donnie Brooks on. I interviewed Donnie Brooks last Saturday at
Yes.
ETW, by
Yeah,
the way.
we'll show that more than likely in 2 weeks.
And I've interviewed Damien Darko before, and I'd love to get Damien Darko down here to the studio.
Yeah. You can see Darko.
I tried to interview him last Saturday, but didn't really have the time. Wanted to get his thoughts on the upcoming governor's race.
Oh, really? Oh, right.
Right.
He's highly political.
Highly political.
And I gotta say, he's got quite a few things that I agree with. And of course, Sol Diaro. Oh! Catching it from good looks, Donnie Brooks.
Good looks, Donnie Brooks. Bears striking resemblance to myself.
Maybe the paleness.
Paleness.
Possibly you go to the same barber, I don't know. And of course, this is Peace, Love, and Wrestling versus the infamous Injustice League.
Right. The infamous Injustice League.
Troy Stevens, he is one of the current contenders for the PWA Squared Circle TV title. And he just won the title, the tag team titles right here.
Right. The tag team titles of PWA changed hands on
Dickie-
Universal Drive.
Yeah, Dickie Moon and Grappling Greg lost the titles to the infamous Injustice League. James Barton Rigby
Right.
and Troy Stevens. I see huge things in their future, and Troy Stevens is going to challenge and meet Lucas Sharp for the very first.
So this is a new stable that is formed inside of PWA.
Yes, yeah,
Started in New Haven a few weeks back.
yeah. Boys and Girls Club there.
So who do we have? We have James Barton Rigby and Troy Stevens that are now the tag champions. Dictator Donuts is involved with that too, I understand?
Yes, yes. And if I can believe it, the head of the VSN, Joseph von Schmidt, you know, he's an infamous character, so he belongs in the infamous Injustice League. So, you know, the heel faction is growing
It's grown.
over at PWA.
It's established itself.
And in 2 weeks, we'll show you footage. Nathaniel Carr, I believe, had a match right at Vinny V's show, correct?
He did indeed.
Damien Darko? No.
Damien Darko, I don't. Saru is our favorite, though, everybody's favorite
Saru,
monkey.
Right. Saru was there.
Right.
Varsity McGavin.
Varsity McGavin. That was the match for Nathaniel Carr.
Right.
I
Okay.
understand.
Right. Right.
Right.
So we have that footage, and you'll see that in 2 weeks. But thank you very much for the footage from PWA. As always, they're great friends and fans of the show, and love them, love them, love them.
Love them, definitely. And then we had the Northeast Wrestling that night, that very same evening.
Oh, correct. Right. You
Right.
got some interview footage from that?
We had an interview we did with Dan DeMann. in the parking lot
Okay.
of the Crosby High School in Waterbury. I haven't been to any. We see them all the time at the North Haven Fair,
Yes.
and but we just attended this event. We don't have any actual footage of any of the matches,
Right,
as
right.
hasn't been permitted.
Well,
If you know,
It is
if
what
that,
it is.
that could change in the future. Don't
course,
know. I would
of
have
course.
to. I would have to talk to Mr. Lombardi a little more about that.
yeah, that's fine.
Right. You know,
Okay.
maybe one day we can. I know they have DVDs out available
Right.
of their
Yeah,
shows.
of course, and you know.
If we're not permitted, it might have something to do with that.
Well, yeah, that's
right.
Hey, you know
But,
what? We've got plenty of footage. We've got plenty of people on our side. So
We get Vinny V. We get PWA.
of course.
Exactly. Once in a blue moon. We haven't done it in a while. We take a ride up to Chicopee every now and then. Say hi
Yeah.
to Mr. Eric Newton
Yep.
and
Yep.
company, the former NEFW. Now they're called Revival Pro Wrestling.
Right. Right.
I'm always getting things from Eric Newton
Yep.
about the Revival Pro Wrestling.
Right.
So I'd love to get back up there.
Well, I mean, you're a busy fellow. I'm a busy guy.
And we've been certainly working hard. Recently crossing the state from top to bottom and border to border to keep the viewers of the show well abreast of the happenings around.
Right, definitely. And you were with me that night in Waterbury. What was your favorite match?
Well, I was with you in Waterbury. I won't. Well, I guess I just did claim up to that, but you know, it's hard to say. They had a lot of good action on the card.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's another big card happening this weekend.
This weekend, they hit
Bethany.
Bethany Town Hall, the former home of CTWA.
Right.
They have taken that facility over and using it for cards. So
Yeah.
I'll be in attendance for that.
Excellent.
And I think Dan will be with me as well.
Yeah, I'll be with you. I'm gonna spend some time talking to an old friend of mine. Won't let his name out at this point,
Mm-hmm.
but we may be able to get an interview with that gentleman, and will be an exclusive for here.
Nice. Nice.
That would be very, very nice. Definitely. But I would have to. That whole card, I would have to say, it was very, very nice seeing Ricky the Dragon Steamboat
Yeah.
in person.
Yep.
Booker T again, even though I met him over the spring. But the main event, they really tore the whole roof down, and that was the Hardys and the Young Bucks.
Nice.
The Young Bucks, who used to be in TNA as Generation Me,
Right.
didn't really go over too well there, but they're over in Japan right now as part of the Bullet Club
Okay.
with AJ Styles. Jeff Jarrett's kind of their mouthpiece. They
Yep.
have Luke Gallows with them, kind of their enforcer.
Yeah, they recently married Luke Gallows. He married April O'Neil.
Now the thing was with that is though, even before the main event match started, you kind of had a feeling who was going to win.
Right.
So it took kind of the edge off it. But seeing Steamboat coming out to the ring, sharing some words with the fans in attendance, seeing at 60 years old, he's still in phenomenal shape.
Definitely. Definitely phenomenal shape. I wonder if he still couldn't go or he's just too banged up.
I'm not really sure. He hasn't worked a match in quite some time.
He's just chosen not to? I don't know.
I thought it was a health issue, but we'll have to research that. I
Right.
thought it was a health issue.
And then you had Ron Zombie's match. The fans were eating that up. The place was rocking.
Oh,
Yeah.
they love Ron. Every time he comes out, Ron will be around this Saturday evening too.
Right, Ron. To the best of my knowledge, Ron Zombie's in tag team action with Bull Dread.
Yep.
Nah, it's a great team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always. I mean, they've worked together and against one another and with one another. I mean, countless amount of times.
Just go on and on for eternity.
Connecticut icons, and of course, Ron Zombie being the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer, and hopefully, we're going to try to get Bull Dread to follow him in.
Hopefully.
Still working on Mr. Joe Bruin.
Well, yeah, we'll have to, lobby Mr. Bruin a little more. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll
Right.
get there.
Now that you remind me, there's some news about Mr. Bruin, but we have a phone call here. Let me see if I get it right. This one, right?
Yeah.
We get to hang on 1 second now.
Yeah. Crack staff lost it.
Crack staff lost it. Well, hopefully that caller calls back. Hopefully. Don't know who that was, but now that I can remember, Joe Bruin, that New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame is taking shape already.
Oh, yes.
It's taking big shape already,
Yes.
and it's only October, and we have to go all the way till June.
Yes.
I know they have announced Kelly Kelly,
Yeah, but, Jim Ross.
Jim Ross,
Oh, God.
Jim Cornette,
Jim Cornette.
and I'm personally looking forward to seeing the one and only Eazy-E himself, Mr. Eric Bischoff.
Yes.
That's great.
I mean, those three alone are worth the stellar crew, worth the price of admission.
Definitely. Let's see if we can go to the phones now. You're live on the Squared Circle.
Hi, big fan of the show. I was just wondering, I know you guys started this show off with Hell in the Cell coverage, but I was just wondering what your guys' favorite pay-per-view matches, like which pay-per-view is your favorite?
Okay. Dan, you want to start?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we talking modern times or?
Well, I didn't specify.
He
But
didn't specify, so just, I guess the answer in general.
All right, because in general, I have to throw that back to my favorite match being Flair Steamboat at Chi-Town Rumble.
okay. Well, I think specifically he was asking what your favorite pay-per-view is. Well, either the Hell in the Cell or Royal Rumble, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Well, they all have different specific stipulations. We do see a lot of copyings, but overall, I like the more extreme ones, such as the Hell in the Cell when it's done right, done correct. Because you see things there that you don't see every other card.
Right. Well, I think I would have to go with the traditional Survivor Series, where you have, and they set up I have to say they did set up last night a good team team scenario where you had the team, the two teams or the four teams, and they met, and it was the Survivor, and they would eliminate one from each team, or and the odds would be different, and how many guys were left on each team, and I liked that concept, and it was like one of the original Big Four,
Right.
being the Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, and Survivor Series. So being like the original Big Four, I really liked the Survivor Series, and I was at the Survivor Series in Hartford when they debuted the Gobbledygook.
Gobbledygooker.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody remembers that.
Yeah, and I was there, so maybe that's why it holds a place in my heart. But I just like the concept of two teams, and sometimes those teams you never saw those guys work together before, and it's just a concept that I really enjoy.
Me personally, Bill will get to you in just a minute. I know he's holding on.
Yep.
But me personally, the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. Maybe it's because of the parties we have. I don't know. But the Hall of Fame the night before, the only time of year you get to see that happen.
Right.
And then just the 4 hours of wrestling action. Some of the years it's great. Some years they're kind of sloppy,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's just how it is, and it's just amazing how they pack a whole entire football stadium in
Yeah.
year after year lately. I mean, they've been using football stadiums.
Yep.
It's just amazing.
Yep.
Now, as far as historically, I always enjoyed the War Games Fall Brawl
Yeah.
from WCW. I think they ought to take this main event for Survivor Series and put it into two rings in a steel cage. And have the Authority on one side and have John Cena's team on the other side.
Well, it's just only 2 rings and not 3, but we
But
have a call.
We have a call, and it is Bill. I understand. You are live on the Squared Circle.
Hey guys, it's Bill from North Haven. How you guys doing tonight?
We're fantastic.
We're fantastic, sir. How are you?
Good. Hey, I wanted to call in and see what your thoughts were. I'm not watching you guys tonight, unfortunately. I'm on the road, but I wanted to get your thoughts about some of the stuff from the Raw show last night with Randy Orton, Mark Henry turning, and return of Ryback.
All right, we'll do that. I know you're on the road because you're working hard.
So that's what they said.
Yes, they're working hard so others don't have to, brother.
Bet your life.
You bet your life. But yeah, we'll Ryback coming out. Hopefully they spruce up his character a little bit.
I know. I'm glad to see him back.
Yeah, and maybe do a little bit with him. Mark Henry, I'm just kind of tired of, and we were talking earlier that Randy Orton is going to be at a reduced schedule because he's filming the Condemned 2, that Steve Austin movie. He's filming the sequel to it, and he's nursing some injuries, so he's going to be on a really reduced schedule. So we're not going to see a whole lot of Randy Orton.
Yeah, that's. And I think I had seen that in some of the information that comes over from you guys. So
Yep.
Right.
Thank you for adding me into the Squared Circle group. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you.
Definitely.
Very nice to run into you yesterday. I was on the way to PWA, getting some refreshments, and lo and behold, here's Bill.
There he is, Bill from North Haven.
Yep.
And, thanks for the compliment. I was sitting there watching the pay-per-view, and I said to myself, why don't I just put the results as they happen?
Yep.
I was able to do that.
It was good because I didn't have to. I felt like I was there. But yeah, I you know what? I like the fact that they brought Ryback back. I just hope, like you guys just said, that they do something very interesting with him.
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot of appeal, and I was never really that big of a fan when they turned him. I thought it was a bad move. So hopefully it'll turn out well for him, you know. But,
I know.
And the Mark Henry thing, I don't know. It just kind of.
It just
I thought he was retiring a year ago. So.
I thought Mark Henry walked out during the Big Show Rusev match, and I thought that they were going to turn Mark Henry there. But I was saying to myself, this doesn't make any sense, because what's he going to do? Go help Rusev?
Right.
But then the next night, it just makes even less sense, because there was no build up to it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just. I guess we all just scratch our heads, but I think you guys have said it before. You know, people work on the creative side and they put these scenarios together and then go work for other, soap operas and other companies. So I guess you get what you pay for sometimes. But other than that, I thought I actually, I'm not sure if everybody liked it, but I liked the ending of the show when everybody came flying out of the locker room. That's always it's always fun to watch. I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm not quite sure why they do it, but it seems like the fans and the audience really get a big excitement out of it when everybody comes flying out of the back room and fills up the ring and just starts beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah, it's fun, and it does extend the feud a little bit. So it just gives them some more fuel to the fire. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I think it'll be very interesting in the whole Cena versus the Authority thing. I think if they play that right, it could work out very well.
Right. Yeah, it was weird them offering him to join the Authority, as if we've talked about that over and over again. It's never going to happen. Seeing Cena turn heel, at least not anytime soon. But what do you think of the whole feud now with Bray Wyatt coming back and interfering in that last match?
I think it's good. I just wish they did it a different way. It's like you got the whole thing going on with Seth Rollins, and then they're like going to that. It's like it's not finished. And the only thing I can think of is maybe Roman Reigns is going to be back a little bit earlier, and he can go back after Rollins. But I think it's a little premature because I think the Seth Rollins and Ambrose. I mean, he's just. I could listen to him talk for just at least a half hour, just ramble on. He just kind of makes you laugh, and you're like, this guy's like he must be just a little nutty in real life too.
I know. It's probably part of his real personality, and it always makes it work better when they use part of their real personality. Sometimes.
Yeah. And if you see some of his stuff that he's done prior to coming to WWE. I mean, you know, he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to play it up. And I think the fans like that piece, you know.
Yeah, I know his previous work was Ring of Honor. I have an entire DVD home of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Fan-
amazing
fantastic
stuff.
Any news on a PWA show coming up? Anything for the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas time?
I was at PWA yesterday, as I said, and I saw the plans for their new facility, and that it's coming together. I mean, it's like any construction; it has its ups and downs, and delays. So hopefully by December, we'll have some sort of answer on the performance center that the guys over at PWA are trying to put together. But hopefully they'll be able to have their next card at their own facility.
Yeah, that'll be tremendous. Again, it's just I look forward to that so much. I know the NEW's got something going on in a couple events and something in November, but I'm holding out for PWA. So
Thank you. We appreciate it. And the guys over there, you need to drop down there sometime. You should have followed me over, but you definitely need to drop into PWA and check them out.
yeah, well, you know what? I'm on vacation next week. I'm sure. Are you guys on next week? I know we got the election.
No, we're getting preempted for election coverage. All the staff here are covering the election.
Right.
I'm gonna be in front of the town hall protesting. That I think we should still keep your show on. Make sure all the election
We appreciate that.
guys.
Well, maybe
Thank
we
you,
should
thank
just
you.
come on and do election coverage that night.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I'll take you up on that offer. But listen, I know you guys probably got other people and other stuff to talk about. I appreciate everything, and I'll keep watching my Facebook for those all those interesting comments and stuff, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
Great night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very, very much.
Good night, Bill.
Good night.
Hey, you mentioned Mark Henry, and I'm thinking, there's Mark Harmon, Mark Hamill, Mark Wahlberg. These are a few of my favorite Marks.
You love Marks.
Yeah. How can you not love Marks? Can you think of any others?
There's Mark Singer.
Mark Singer, yeah. See, Mark Singer in Beastmaster.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of politics, Mark Dayton, he's the governor of Minnesota.
There you go. These are a few of our favorite Marks. Oh, your
Hey,
notes back.
that's my pen.
Yeah. Oh, that's your pen too.
Oh, you're touching.
I don't know where
that's
that's
with his pen.
I don't know where that's been.
That's a $5,000 pen.
In the ear and the mouth.
Wow.
You're gonna have to disinfect your hand now, bro.
I know, right? Hey,
What
might
do you
have some
suggest?
monkey residue on it too.
Monkey residue.
Just might. I mean, he's been known to monkey around before.
Yeah.
God.
He's had the monkey on his back for a while.
I had a monkey on my back 2 weeks ago. Please, folks. So, we're going with a traditional Survivor Series, like you said before.
Yes.
Back to the normal.
Yeah.
Team Authority versus John Cena. Probably Dolph Ziggler on that team. Don't know who else yet. Maybe Randy Orton. Maybe if he defects. Shall see.
Yeah.
Gave the RKO to Seth Rollins.
It should be fun because out of last night's Raw, I think that's really the one positive piece that came out of it is that they set up these teams,
Right.
for the Survivor Series, which I just said, I really like that concept. So hopefully that'll come together and we'll have some decent teams. And of course, you're going to have to get Kofi Kingston on Team Cena to pull some, because he always.
I know.
He always comes up with some innovative moves.
I thought they were coming up with a group with Big E, Kofi Kingston, and
I think that got
they just
Got
didn't,
the axe,
didn't
yeah.
bother doing it.
yeah,
Never got off the ground.
like a Nation of Domination kind of thing.
Just never got off the ground.
Yeah, I think they thought better of it.
I know. Because Kofi's cool being a babyface.
Yeah, and it's in these times of political correctness.
Right.
God knows what what they could or could not get away with, which I really think held back a lot of what could have been done in Hell in a Cell. I'm sure that the next time it's going to be Heck in a Cell
I know.
with the PG era.
I know. They still use the word hell.
And our crack staff put out there that they're getting rid of the Elimination Chamber. They're moving it and changing that pay-per-view.
So they're not going to have the pay-per-view anymore, or they are.
It's being moved to June to set up for SummerSlam.
Oh, okay. So they're going to place it in June and
Yeah.
have that run in the SummerSlam then. Okay.
It's going to run into SummerSlam. It's going to be in June instead of previously in February.
Right.
Right.
The only problem I have with the Elimination Chamber, got to be honest here, is it reminds me of an outhouse.
Hey now.
Hey now. Well, it's being moved to June, so if you need to use the outhouse, you have to wait all the
At
way.
least it'll be warm, but you know.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's warm when you're done in the Elimination Chamber.
I guess.
Warm and steamy.
So basically, we had, like I said, they tried to convince Cena to join the Authority. That's never going to happen. Rusev was taken off TV last night. Was not on. From
Okay.
I understand. Don't know why. Maybe there's nobody else for him to beat right now. I don't know. We did see Mark Henry turning heel over the Big Show, and you say you're a little tired of him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I have to agree, I'm tired of Mark Henry. I mean, they've tried over the years countless ways and countless things to get this guy over or to get him out as a heel, and
well, he signed a 20-year contract back in 1996.
Wow.
somebody made a mistake.
Yes,
So he's got, what, 2 more years?
he's got 2 more years. So
Wow.
they just keep having to change him up, down, left, right, heel, baby face, heel, whatever, commentator.
Maybe he
man-
can date the ghost of Mae Young.
who
I
knows?
don't know, for Halloween this year.
Right.
Well, that's true. SmackDown is having a Halloween special.
There you go.
The Halloween special has been announced for SmackDown. A multi-divas Halloween Battle Royal.
That should be interesting.
If you're into the divas, which
Eh.
who isn't into the divas?
Oh, it'll be short. They'll be in some, interesting, clever costumes.
Right.
about
It'll
it.
be halfway through the card, probably
Yeah.
about the 9 o'clock hour.
Paige should dye her hair and go as Sheamus. She's got the same.
She could do that.
She could pull the Sheamus off.
I know.
That would be great.
No,
Fella.
would it really kill you if she came out with a spray-on tan?
That would be different.
That would be very, very different.
That would be different.
Mark Henry is going to be on Miz TV. That's announced for the main event, WWE main event, which can only be seen on the network now, I think, right?
I believe so.
Did you catch the on network the debut of their new show?
Rivalries?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, didn't they have a DVD out there not too long ago, The Greatest Rivalries? So they kind of like offshot from that and expanded it. But yeah,
Right.
it's interesting. It's good.
Because as they did the commercials, it looked kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's good. I'm glad that they keep coming up with innovative and new original content to keep people on the network. I missed the countdown, which they discontinued so far. I mean, they'll probably come back. But yeah, this is something new to look forward to every week that you're not seeing anywhere else but on the network for that great price of, well, free.
Right, exactly. Well, for us, yeah.
Yeah.
So, definitely. Yeah, and they also have the Monday Night War series,
Yes.
which continues on. Now they're talking about Raw is Jericho, a whole episode about Chris Jericho.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I finished this book, by the way. That was fantastic.
What was it?
Yeah, another great tome by our good friend Mr. Jericho.
Right.
So that was really interesting. He just continued on where in the last book Undisputed left off, and just updated us on his life story and his goings on in Fozzy and doing the game show, which we read some last week.
Last week.
Or the week before. No, the week before. And it's really good. So if you're a Chris Jericho fan, obviously you're going to love the book. And it'd be interesting to see if there's an audio version of it out there so you can hear Jericho tell the stories, in his own voice.
Right.
Because those are always great.
We'll put some stories online.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's got his podcast
Well, yeah,
going.
the podcast. And anybody that listens to his podcast has heard a lot of those stories already, in kind of a shorter form. But
Now, his
yeah.
podcast is, and it's Steve Austin's podcast. Are
Yeah.
they on at any specific time? at
They
all?
upload twice a week. Both of them upload twice a week, and you can download it to your device and check it out. I believe Jericho tweets when he's going to be recording them live, so then he has had some live-in calls
Right.
on some of the shows. But overall, they're recorded and then they're downloaded on specific days, depending on which podcast you're listening to. And then, if you subscribe, you automatically just get them as soon as they get downloaded to the Podcast One network. But
They go to the Podcast One network, and
Yeah.
a little thing goes off, and ding.
yeah,
you
I
know
mean,
when
you pick up whatever device you're listening to it on, and it's on there.
Right.
When you plug it into your computer, it just automatically downloads for you. If you're a subscriber.
If you're a subscriber, it's just the way of the future now.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's really really good. And for me, I listen to them at work, and it makes the day go by.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you work hard.
So others don't have to.
Bet your life.
Yep.
Definitely.
Program day. Tom is usually right there with that.
Right. He's
Well, I'm
intrigued.
not up to Tom's
Yeah,
standards.
you're not up to par, but we'll get you there.
We'll get you there, definitely. So we talked a little bit about Randy Orton. Reiterating that again, taking a reduced schedule
Yep.
coming up. It's part of the WWE Films has they're contracted, I should say, for 6 low-budget films. They've already completed 2 of them. Vendetta starring The Big Show, and Lockdown starring Dean Ambrose. These are all low-budgeted films.
So low budget meaning straight to DVD?
Direct to DVD, my friend. And you go to Redbox, you pick them up there,
Yeah.
or you maybe the dollar bin eventually, like when they get a little old.
Or Netflix.
Netflix
You're gonna
will
see
have
them
them.
on Netflix or the network eventually.
Other than that, yeah, the network will probably have its own movie night eventually, sooner or later, once they get enough of these things going. But Steve Austin did a movie called The Condemned, and this is a sequel to The Condemned called The Condemned 2 Desert Prey. And it's going to be filming in the great state of New Mexico later on this year. And it stars, like I said, Randy Orton.
Right. Well, he was in, which was that, 12 Rounds 2?
He was in 12 Rounds 2.
Yeah.
Cena
So-
was in 12 Rounds 1.
So Orton is making a career out of being number 2.
Right.
12 Rounds 2, Condemned 2.
He's just settling for number 2.
He's settling for number 2.
Which is also something you can do in the Elimination Chamber.
There you go.
Right.
And it all comes full circle.
It all comes full circle. Hey, that was the name of a rock group called Full Circle one time, too.
Yep. Definitely.
Definitely. But we are down to, I believe, 10 minutes here.
Something like that.
Something like that. What's this? There's some kind of lawsuit news with Billy Jack Haynes.
No, you got me on that. So
Got me
fill us
on
in.
that. Billy Jack Haynes, who was a former WWE superstar back in the late 80s, early 90s, he's filed a lawsuit earlier this past week, and WWE's made a statement out of that. Haynes is alleging that the lawsuit is, quote, this egregious mistreatment of its wrestlers for its own benefit, as well as concealment and denial of medical research and evidence concerning traumatic brain injuries. But the WWE is alleging at the time in which Haynes worked for them, there wasn't much medical research concerning brain injuries, maybe specifically.
Yeah,
What
this is the concussion injury
Right.
syndrome has been more focused on in the NFL, and there's been a lot of research and information coming out from the NFL and the NFL's reaction to it as far as their former players. And you're going to see, more than likely, the WWE following through, and possibly some of the other,
Right.
high-impact sports like hockey, possibly, and stuff like that, where these guys are taking some serious physical damage. And you're going to see lawsuits come through And in the NFL's case, it's a players' union, so they have a larger larger pool of money to draw from
Right.
to hire litigators and to represent them.
With the wrestling business, there's no union. So.
Correct. And so you're going to have either one or a handful at best in a class action suit. Whereas, the NFL, you've got the entire players' union, representing,
A player.
not only the current players but the former players.
Oh yeah.
So you've got a lot of muscle behind that, and unfortunately for Billy Jack here, he's more than likely going to run out of resources before he can get
Anywhere with it.
Yeah, anywhere with it.
Yeah, and it seems like let's throw it out there. Let's use the B word there, Benoit. What happened with him years ago, and so they did the research on Benoit's brain, and they realized that he had some kind of concussion syndrome there. Now that was years ago, and here we are. We're fast forwarding maybe 7 years later, and Billy Jack Haynes is coming out now, wanting to sue over the egregious mistreatment of its wrestlers.
Right.
Just like the lawsuit says. I mean, it almost sounds as if Mr. Haynes is suing because maybe Mr. Haynes doesn't have a lot of money and needs to make some money. I don't know.
Right. Well, that's
I'm not trying to
that's
say that.
supposition on your part.
Right.
I don't know. I question the timing of it. Or,
Right.
I mean, there have been hints and allegations of mistreatment behind the scenes and racism and sexism and all this kind of stuff that has come up from former wrestlers. And as I said, that it's more than likely going to be one individual standing a case against the corporate giant that is
Right.
WWE.
It's hard to beat the corporate giant.
Right. And WWE can just delay and stall and extend and exhaust your
Right.
resource, an individual's resources, or just settle out of court with a confidentiality clause in it, so that you can't discuss what happened and pretty much make it go away.
Right. I'm not saying he's after money. I mean, I don't know. It just seems the timing of it. I mean, it's possible that he's onto something too.
Right. There's no doubt that a lot of these guys are severely injured
Right.
from life, and, are debilitated from life because of their actions in the ring.
It's not a perfect industry.
How responsible the WWE is and how how they're going to handle it, it remains to be seen. I mean, there are risks involved. I mean, you go into the UFC cage, you're taking a risk. You're going to get hit. You go into the WWE as careful and as practiced as you can be. Things do happen.
Exactly.
And
Right, and like you say, things do happen, and I have a good friend, as well as you do, who competes in the MMA, Andrew Calangetti, and he knows every time he stepped in that ring, he has the chance of having an injury.
yes.
And sooner or later, when he gets older, these injuries are going to catch up with him.
Yeah, and that's more than likely what's happening here with Billy Jack. As he ages, you're going to have the injuries catch up to you. And it might be just aches and pains. It might be just recurring issues with different body parts, or it could be early onset of like Alzheimer's or some sort of stroke, and But I mean, that's an argument for the medical doctors, and it's an argument for, unfortunately, the litigators.
Right.
But as the NFL starts to address it, I think you're going to see that set an example for other, sports and sports related.
Right. The whole debate about injuries in wrestling and even wrestler deaths altogether.
Right.
Which we've seen a reduction of over the years. I mean, that was something that even the federal government even tried to step in after Benoit.
Right.
And starting to wonder about all these people that passed away and what's going on here. You know, that's all. That could be. We could take up a whole entire 2-hour show just.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Discussing that. We could take a whole 6 months and cover a week after week about a different dead wrestler.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Right, and truly as fans, we can sit here all night and, like you said, for 2 hours, 3 hours, easily playing the what if, how come game.
Right.
And like John said, that's up to the litigators, the doctors,
Right.
the ones who have that research and knowledge at their hands to really tackle those issues.
Exactly.
If you can get a hold of some interviews, Mick Foley is very outspoken, and he's already donated his brain to science, to medicine, to study, and he's, you know, he just is in pain, you know, every moment of every day from, you know, the bumps he took. But he readily admits that he decided, you know, a lot of the stuff, especially back in the Attitude Era, you know, the guys came up with themselves. You know, he, you know, volunteered to jump off.
I know.
The top of
We
the
were just
cage.
talking about that match the other day where he
Right.
jumped off the top of that
Yeah,
cage.
you
That
know,
very first telling us. He was on Raw last week warning Rollins and Ambrose, telling them that the cell is going to change your life.
Yeah.
And it does.
And even Hogan, who has had tremendous injury and had a ton of surgery up to this point in his
Right.
life,
Yeah.
rumor has it that supposedly he wants that one last match.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't see it happening.
Should not happen. It's a
Yeah.
mistake, definitely. But with less than 3 minutes, any
Worst
thoughts on the worst?
week.
I don't have a bronze here. What do you think?
Got anything?
Well, I would have to say with that the main event last night, the Dusty, what I refer to
Right.
as the Dusty finish.
Right.
It just took me out of the whole match.
Right.
Well, my worst of the week, if I may, is the people that tell us that nobody watches the show, but gosh darn it, everybody talks about it. How can everybody be talking about what we do and what we say if nobody watches the show?
You know what? I think every show out there is going to have its haters.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know.
But you can't say in one breath, oh, nobody watches your show, but you did this on your show and I hate it.
Then why'd you watch it?
How did you, well, if nobody watched it, then how did you know what we did and said?
Well, the other thing is, if you don't
just-
like it, don't watch it.
Right.
And what I find funny on that same theme is people will tell us they don't watch it, they don't like it, we're doing this wrong, we're doing that wrong. But at a recent event we attended, and you were filming Hollywood, a young gentleman came up and was waving into the camera lens. Why wave to be on a show if you don't watch the show and you don't like what's being done?
Don't know. Who knows?
I'm just asking for consistency, but finish your,
We'll finish up. We'll finish up here. The runner-up to me, the whole Bella Twin angle, kind of stupid. It's got to go. Let's just, make them a team again.
Yep.
I like the Bella Twins as a tag team. But the winner, the whole finish of the Rollins-Ambrose match with Bray Wyatt coming in out of nowhere.
yeah, that's worse.
I like Bray, but that's got to be the worst
Yeah,
of the week right
makes no
there.
sense.
Finishing just messing up an entire.
Hopefully down the road
great,
that makes
great
sense,
main
but
event.
at the moment it don't make any sense.
Just doesn't make any sense to me right now.
Go ahead.
Definitely got to fix things there.
We will not see you next Tuesday.
We will not see you next Tuesday. We'll see you the following Tuesday. So I'm Hollywood J. Williams. Good night and good luck. And get out there and vote next week.
Get out there and vote.
Definitely. You'll keep working hard.
So others
Don't have to.
You
Bet
bet your life.
Bet your life. See you in 2 weeks.
The show that nobody watches.